So it looks like the Chicago Bears just made a pretty controversial move. And what I'm talking about is the Bears just hired former Jaguars OC Press Taylor, and he's going to be Chicago's pass game coordinator. The polarizing hire so far. We're looking at the longtime Doug Peterson understudy. He's coming to Chicago. And this is a guy that's earned some clout in the past. Do you remember the Philly special play that won the game in Philly's Super Bowl win? Press Taylor was the mastermind behind that play, but then he kind of lost favor. He ended up getting a ton of criticism as Carson Wentz regressed. But one thing about this guy, he was thought of as one of the up-and-coming minds in the NFL offensively. And what's up? This is Sports Talk Bears. I'm your host, Sean. Hey, we are pushing towards 10,000 subscribers. Do us a favor. Please bless us. Hit the subscribe button. Just would really do us a solid. So I want to kind of continue going on the pros and cons as far as Press Taylor and trying to give you a good overview and an unobstructed view, if you will. So if you look at Taylor, after this, he continued with overseeing a Pro Bowl year for Trevor Lawrence as his OC. Just lots of opinions about this guy. 37 years old. He's been the Jags offensive coordinator for the last 3 seasons under head coach Doug Peterson. Before that, served as a senior offensive assistant for Frank Reich's Indianapolis Colts. And then after Indy, from 2013 to 2020, he worked with the Philadelphia Eagles, first for Chip Kelly, and then he remained on staff for Peterson. So looking at his first year in Jacksonville, featured a top 10 offense. And that's when him and Peterson split play calling responsibilities. And we're looking at a top 10 offense his first 2 years there. But then in 2023, Taylor took over as full-time play caller. And the offense, it really kind of declined. Lots of moving parts with that team, lots of personnel moves, especially at wide receiver. The team kind of turned into a garbage dump, to be honest. But it continued to struggle last year. They were without starting quarterback Trevor Lawrence for 7 games. And kind of, to be honest, speaking with some people who followed the Jags really closely, the general consensus is that Taylor's play calling was not very good and that he was a big part of Peterson getting fired. But let's keep in mind, too, the other end of it. He's not in Chicago to call plays. So let's kind of look at what Ben Johnson sees in him. I mean, the guy has a Super Bowl ring from Philly's 2017 run. He was their offensive quality control and assistant quarterbacks coach. And once again, he's also credited with bringing the Philly special trick play to the coaching staff. In case you didn't notice, fully compatible with what our new head coach loves to do. I think that's obvious. Now he joins new head coach Ben Johnson's offensive staff, and that's along with offensive coordinator Declan Doyle, assistant head coach, wide receivers coach Antoine Randall L., and QB coach JT Barrett. And we're kind of looking at the former quarterbacks coach. He's going to be a part of further molding Caleb Williams as he enters year 2. And this hire's getting panned a lot. Let's kind of look at it, see where we fall. I want to go through his experience, but also let's maybe try to see Ben Johnson's perspective and what his needs are considering this hire. So let's look at it long view. These hires at OC, quarterbacks coach, now the passing game coordinator, they just aren't quite what they seem as far as conventional hires. This isn't really a conventional situation, though. I think this is what's happening. This is my view. With a coach that wants such control over the offense, that's not a bad thing. I don't blame him. He's really looking to build this from the ground up and tailor it to Caleb. He's prioritizing not only play calling experience, he wants young, innovative, creative minds above everything. Is that who Press Taylor is? He's also wanting hard workers that are hungry, humble, smart, guys who will brainstorm with him, do the heavy lifting to prep for him on game weeks, guys who will help him tailor and create the playbook, specific fits, specific personalities. I mean, 28-year-old Declan Doyle, exactly that. Also, league sources are starting to call him a steal, someone who's going to likely be a head coach soon. And then a younger choice with 30-year-old JT Barrett. Now we've got a more experienced choice in Press Taylor. Agree with it or not, but this is the view that we should be looking at these hires through. I'm going to go to the story on Athlon Sports. Ian Rappaport on X said, and I quote, Taylor adds experience and expertise in Chicago, plus another voice for Caleb Williams. And like I said, that's straight from Ian Rappaport. So he's a more experienced hire than these other guys. And let's kind of go into that a little bit. He's been coaching in the NFL since 2013. He spent the past 3 years as the Jags offensive coordinator once again. He had 2 top 10 passing offenses in 22 and 23. Also, really a prized pupil of veteran coach Doug Peterson. Taylor was on his staff for his 5-year tenure with the Philadelphia Eagles as well. And then additionally, on top of that, the guy has experience developing a number 1 pick at quarterback. Worked with Trevor Lawrence for the past 3 seasons. And let's be honest here, Lawrence threw for a career high 4,113 yards and 25 touchdowns, earned his first career Pro Bowl selection, and that's during his first season under a lot of Taylor's tutelage in 2022. He was also a big part of the early development of Jalen Hurts. Remember when he began his career there? Let me refresh you. His rookie year, he started to really flash under his tutelage, moved up from the 3rd string spot to the backup, then a part-time quarterback playing in 15 games. He became the starter in December of that year. And there's a narrative that's going out that he got Peterson fired in Philly due to Peterson's loyalty to him. Same thing in Jacksonville. I'm going to kind of argue a different thing. A big reason Peterson had to go, it wasn't because of this Taylor narrative, in my opinion. He was just too stubborn to see that Hurts needed to be the starter moving forward, and it probably should have been done from day one. He finished the year with a silly benching of Jalen Hurts for Nate Sudfeld in Week 17. You guys remember that? Many said he was deliberately losing the game against Washington. I fully agree. I think that's what essentially sealed the deal on him getting fired in Philly. Now, let's kind of look at this. The results haven't been all awesome once again. Peterson turned over play calling duties to Taylor in 2023. The offense definitely started regressing. Like I said, there were some personnel moves, to be fair, but yeah, the wheels started falling off. There's a narrative as well that Peterson stayed loyal to Taylor once again. It ended up costing him both coaching jobs. I don't agree with that. I just don't really believe this can be laid at the feet of Taylor. But then in the same breath, both dismissals came after the offenses became ineffective. And Taylor was definitely a part of that. So kind of looking at Peterson as a respected coach, he highlights a couple things about Taylor that Ben Johnson is looking for. And once again, it is not to call plays. And this is a direct quote from Peterson. And I think it's a really good litmus test of who Taylor is. Press and I. When I was hired in 2016, Chip Kelly was a coach there for 3 years and actually brought Press on board as an offensive quality control. And he worked with the quarterbacks. I kept him in that role. Then I moved him around a couple years later into the receiver room and just kind of kept listening to him, giving him more responsibility every single year that I was a head coach. And then eventually got him into the quarterback room, became a pass game coordinator for me, and just a guy that's highly intelligent. Super smart. He's detailed. He's organized. That's what Ben Johnson's looking for. He's the type of guy that as I went through my tenure there in Philadelphia, he's the kind of, you always have the coaches to keep your eye on. And he was always one of those guys for me. I kept my eye on him. I knew that one day I thought he was going to be an offensive coordinator. I felt that in my heart that he could be. I was going to eventually make him a coordinator, possibly in Philadelphia, and then things changed. But yeah, I'm so excited for him because of the working relationship that we've had and how we think alike, how we bounce ideas off each other, and just looking forward to watching him flourish from here. It's a pretty ringing endorsement. So 2022, things went well. Lawrence caught fire at the end of the season. Things were on an upswing. They went 9-8, won the AFC South, won a playoff game. And at that time, the Ravens came calling even to interview him for their offensive coordinator position. The Jags ended up blocking it. And then 23 brought higher expectations for the team. Calvin Ridley was added. Hint, Calvin Ridley was not great. The passing game was still top 10, but the team cratered at the back half of the season, and that kind of extended into 2024. So granted, general resume, not overly impressive as an OC, Ben Johnson must see something in him, though. And also, there's buffers in place. We have Randall L., the new OC, and a coach who has absolutely full grasp on the offense. His time in Jacksonville can be summed up as a mixed bag. Under his tutelage, Jacksonville finished in the top half of the league in scoring and total offense his first 2 seasons, and then they slipped to 26th and 25th, respectively, after he started calling plays exclusively. But it's also a guy who won a Super Bowl in 2017 as an assistant coach for the Eagles, engineered that Philly special play. Just a really great start to his career there. Like I said, it's kind of a mixed bag. I think a lot of the negative that you can say about him was during his time calling plays as an OC, but his time as more of a developmental coach, a guy more working with the receivers and quarterbacks specifically, and not that extra responsibility of offensive coordinator. The guys really showed that he's an up and coming mind in the NFL. And I'm going to trust Ben Johnson, thinking that that's why he was hired as a coach here and how he's going to be utilized. And he's going to be a hungry, humble, smart guy, just like our new offensive coordinator, that they are going to work together, put together game plans, get everything prepped for Ben Johnson so he can manage this team in its entirety. And then when it comes to calling the offense, he can hit the ground running with organized and smart and creative people that are not only going to reinforce his image for this offense, but are also going to help him reimagine it for Caleb Williams. So I'm going to continue to look at it as a good hire. I get the naysayers. Let me know what you think in the comments, and we will chop it up. Appreciate you guys. Bear down, and we're going to keep going through this off season together. Couldn't think of the word off season, and we'll talk soon. See ya.